Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving into a profoundly human story. It's quite an intricate exploration of cause and effect, and it's all rooted in a set of sources you shared with us. Our mission really is to unpack one woman's truly remarkable journey. I mean, through unimaginable hardship, her relentless quest to understand why, you know, why all this suffering, and then the incredible transformation she eventually found. So get ready, because these sources offer some really surprising insights, I think, into karma and just how interconnected our lives can be.
Absolutely. And what's really illuminating for these sources is how they don't just show that past actions shape the present, even actions from many lifetimes ago. They actually delve into how those intricate karmic threads weave themselves into what's happening right now. And crucially, this deep dive shows us how present efforts, specific practices, can fundamentally alter someone's destiny. The details we're about to get into, well, they're far more than just a story. They're a profound lesson in this web of interconnected lives across time.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Or, well, the beginning of this life's ordeal. From the age of just 9, this woman endured something truly unimaginable: sexual abuse by her own father. The sources are quite graphic, describing how he'd use threats, even placing a knife near her sometimes, to silence her, to stop her crying out. And these horrific assaults, they continued, sort of secretly, until she turned 15. And the consequences, oh, like you can imagine, devastating. At 15, she became pregnant with her father's child, a secret she somehow managed to keep hidden. Then, when she later got married for the first time, it ended almost immediately, like within the first month. Her husband discovered she was pregnant. It's just, yeah, almost impossible to grasp the weight of all that.
The emotional and psychological toll was, well, in her own words from the sources, immense, just immense. She talks about how she couldn't even bring herself to call him father anymore, and just seeing her son, who apparently looked a lot like his father, her abuser, that was a constant searing reminder. She actually described herself as feeling killed alive by it all, which led her to make this agonizing decision to flee, just leave. And her father, he then took the child to raise when the baby was only, 1 or 2 months old.
Oh, wow. And the heartache didn't stop there, did it? It tragically got worse. Her father apparently actively worked to poison the son's mind against her, taught him to hate her, used vulgar, aggressive language about her. So when she and her current husband, who incredibly knew her past and accepted it, completely tried to bring the boy into their home when he was about 5, the child reacted violently, punched her current husband, and actually said, "You are not my father." Just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And all this cumulative burden, it's almost beyond description, really. It eventually led to a severe mental health crisis. She needed hospitalization. She was openly contemplating suicide. It just starkly highlights the immense suffering she carried, a burden that pushed her right to the very edge.
But here's where the story takes this truly remarkable turn. Amidst all this, profound suffering, her life started to shift dramatically. It happened after she encountered Mukana, which the sources identify as a specific Buddhist community focused on inner peace. And she started learning this meditation technique, Samaharam, which is about cultivating deep concentration, inner awareness.
And what's fascinating is the transformation that followed. Not just in her, but amazingly in her son, too. She became noticeably calmer, more composed. You could see the change. And her son's behavior also improved dramatically, like night and day. The sources mentioned he actually started meditating himself, started seeing clear orbs, which is often linked to meditative clarity. He began speaking politely. And then, astonishingly, he expressed this profound desire to become a monk for her.
Just think about that shift. From punching her husband and saying, "You are not my father," to wanting to ordain for her sake. She described this change in her son as the first light of hope she'd felt in her entire life.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture here, his declaration of love, both for her and her current husband, it was genuinely felt. According to the sources, it really stemmed from a clear heart, which they directly attribute to the positive influence of his meditation practice, that significant shift in his own inner state.
Okay, so this brings us to the huge question, doesn't it? What on earth, what past actions could possibly lead to such a complex, painful, present situation? Our deep dive into these sources, it reveals this incredibly intricate web, karmic threads connecting all these people across multiple lifetimes. It really illustrates the mechanics of cause and effect in detail.
Right. Let's try and unpack these connections as the sources lay them out. Okay, so many kalpas ago, and kalpas are these vast, almost unimaginably long periods of time, the woman in a past life was a wealthy man, a very promiscuous one. He apparently used his subordinates to procure women for him, and eventually this escalated. He started seeking out very young girls. The sources even say he bought them from their families, pretending they'd be servants, but then he exploited them. After he died, this karma, according to these sources, led him to the third great hell for a very, very long time. Then followed by rebirths in lower realms, like hungry ghost, beings suffering intense craving, asuras, these powerful, jealous beings, and then various animals, including being reborn as a dog multiple times. Then eventually he was reborn as a human again, first as a prostitute, and then in a later life as a madam running a brothel.
Wow, so she literally experienced the karma from both sides being the exploiter and then later being exploited. That's quite a stark mirroring effect.
Exactly. Very direct reflection. Now, in that life as a madam, her current father was a regular client. And the sources note something specific. She had this habit of offering him the very first access to any newly acquired young girls. This specific karmic link, this act of, as the sources put it, opening the virginity for him both when she was the rich man and later as the madam. That's what the sources state directly led her to be reborn as his daughter in this current life. It suggests this karmic bond was forged through the very specific nature of the exploitation she facilitated for him.
That is incredibly direct, almost like you said, a poetic cause and effect described there. Okay, what about her first son, the one who caused her so much pain initially?
Right. So her first son, in a past life, was actually her former subordinate, the one who helped her procure women when she was that wealthy, promiscuous man.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, the karma from when she was the madam, separating children from their parents through deception, luring them away, promising good work. That specific action, the sources indicate, is what caused her separation from her son in this life when her father took him away as a baby.
And her mother. She passed away from sorrow over the whole situation. What was her karmic connection here?
Well, her mother's suffering, tragic as it was, stemmed from her own past karma of promiscuity. Apparently, she too had been a madam in a previous life, though maybe in a different establishment. So it really illustrates that while their lives are all tangled up, each person's suffering ultimately comes from their own unique karmic debts.
Right, right. And we also heard about that childhood accident with her twin brother, a lamp falling, causing severe burns, the house burning down. How does that fit in?
Okay, so the twin brother, he was her subordinate back when she was the madam. He served as her brothel manager. And the sources explain they had a major dispute over money, specifically unpaid wages. She hadn't paid him what they'd agreed on. This led to this deep-seated resentment he carried. And that resentment, according to these sources, manifested in this life as that childhood accident. It wasn't intentional on his part in this life, but the karmic energy was there. It caused her injuries and the house burned down. And the sources use this to illustrate a principle that illicit income, like from being a madam, carries this sort of seed of destruction. Basically, wealth you get unethically is inherently unstable. It's prone to leading to unexpected losses or misfortunes later on.
So even the financial side has this karmic echo leading to loss.
Okay.
And her grandmother who suffered from poverty.
Her grandmother, the sources say, after she died, she initially became a kind of wandering spirit for a while, feeling quite isolated. Then she was reborn into a poor family in this current life. And the reason given is specifically insufficient generosity in her past lives. She hadn't given much, apparently, creating this karmic pattern of scarcity for herself.
What this really drives home is that, yes, these relationships are incredibly complex, interwoven, but the suffering of each individual mother, daughter, son, brother, grandmother, it all stems from their own distinct, specific karmic debts. It's like an individual accounting system within the shared, very painful story.
Which then begs the question, right? How did she find Mukana? How did she start turning things around amidst all this heavy, heavy karma? Well, the sources indicate that her present positive changes, finding this community, it actually stemmed from another past life, one where she herself was a prostitute. And in that life, experiencing great suffering, physical and mental, she secretly made merit with Mukana. She didn't have much, but she gave what she could, and she wished very strongly to escape that life. So that old merit, like a seed planted long ago, combined with her consistent practice now. That's what led her to meet her kind current husband, the one who accepted her past. And it led her to find this spiritual path that ultimately transformed her life. It shows how even a small good deed can eventually bear fruit.
That's really hopeful, actually. And the relationship between her two sons, the older one and the one with her current husband, is there a deep past life conflict there too, or is that different?
Interestingly, the sources say that one is different, the older son's resentment. It apparently stems more from a complex in his heart, as they put it, about having a different father, Rather than some deep karmic conflict from past lives carrying over, it's presented more as a present life psychological issue, something that needs careful handling, patience, and guidance now, not necessarily a huge karmic debt between them from the past.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's turn to the practical advice then. What do the sources suggest for actually mitigating all this past karma and building a better future? What's the path forward now?
Right. Well, first and foremost, the sources really stress forgiveness. She needs to extend forgiveness to her father. That's crucial, primarily for her own release, her own peace. Additionally, and this is key, she needs to continuously make merit. Through generosity, acts of kindness, maintaining ethical conduct, her precepts, and especially practicing meditation diligently. And very importantly, she needs to dedicate the positive energy, the good deeds accumulated, to all those she exploited or harmed in her past lives, both as the promiscuous man and as the madam. This sustained, lifelong effort done with real intention is absolutely crucial for reducing severe karma. The principle explained is that heavy karma can become lighter, and lighter karma can eventually dissipate altogether through consistent good deeds.
That makes sense. Consistent positive action. And for her current family life, especially with the two sons, how should she navigate that dynamic?
Yeah, that requires immense patience and wisdom. The sources are clear on this. It's vital she fosters love and respect between the two boys, always ensuring justice and impartiality. They stress that neither child should ever feel she favors one over the other. That prevents new resentments, new feelings of partiality from developing in their minds, which could create fresh negative karma.
So the focus there is really on preventing any new negative karmic seeds within the family, even in small ways.
Exactly. And perhaps most critically, she must commit to sustained spiritual practice. Keep going. This means continuing to make what the sources call full merit, generosity, morality, meditation consistently throughout her whole life. And they also advise she should keep aspiring, keep holding the intention to be reborn in a higher spiritual realm after this life. They name it as Dusit Birwang Boon Paised Boram Phosisa, which is described as a pure land for advanced spiritual beings, specifically with the Muokana community she's connected with.
Okay, so essentially, put the past mistakes behind her mentally, focus solely on consistently doing good, accumulating positive deeds, cultivating inner purity, basically building a completely new positive karmic ledger from here on out.
That's the core of the guidance, yes.
Yeah.
That's the path forward described in these sources.
Wow. What a truly profound journey we've traced today, from such deep suffering to this remarkable transformation, all illuminated by this intricate understanding of past karma presented in the sources. It really is a stark reminder, isn't it? That even the most complex, the most painful circumstances, they have roots that can be understood and crucially addressed.
It absolutely reinforces that core message we see again and again in these kinds of sources. Life, in this cycle of existence, it's profoundly governed by karma, good and bad. More merit earned consistently with intention just leads to fewer obstacles, more ease, more blessings, less merit. Well, unfortunately, it leads to more challenges. But the power to fundamentally change one's destiny, it lies in understanding these principles and then acting on them consistently.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, considering this incredibly detailed karmic web we've just explored and the idea that all our actions, big and small, create these echoes. What surprising insights might your own current relationships, your own circumstances maybe hold about your past? And perhaps more importantly, what actions might you consider taking today to consciously shape a brighter future for yourself? Something to ponder perhaps until our next deep dive.